My sister ruined my wedding. Now, with her difficulties getting pregnant, my parents want her to have a baby with me. To give you some context, my sister Pam, who is 30 years old, convinced our parents and a few other family members not to attend my wedding. She thought it was not right for me to marry her while she was getting a divorce. She started telling lies and gossiping to make people stay away from me, because just telling the truth wasn't sufficient to make them dislike me. My partner and I recently posted on social media that I am in my second trimester of pregnancy. I am a 27-year-old woman. My parents and Pam found out about it this way, and after not talking for more than 3 years, they tried to fix things with me. For what reason? Pam cannot have children because she is infertile. Even though she has not succeeded with several attempts at IVF, she is determined to try once more. Pam thinks that surrogacy or adoption are not the right choices for her now. Because I am going to have a baby, my parents thought it would be good to reconcile with Pam so she could spend time with a child who is not her own. They suggested that the child have 2 mothers to help me more. My parents just want to act like a happy family now that Pam can't have kids. During the conversation, I could tell their politeness was fake. I told them I wouldn't agree to the idea because it was totally unreasonable to expect me to do so. Honestly, it was absurd that they thought I would consider letting Pam be the mother of my future child. I explained that they shouldn't have done it because I was pregnant and they wanted to give Pam a toy, but because they really cared about me and regretted how they had treated me. They disagreed with me, saying that Pam was ready to help her future niece or nephew voluntarily, and they were just helping because they knew I would need support when the baby arrived. They told me I was being too strict and that everything was completely harmless. I said that my husband and his family were already helping me with everything I needed because I was the mother. If they were able to avoid me before, they should continue to do so in the future. Here is where I may have gone too much. I thought Pam might not be able to have children because she was unkind and wouldn't be a good mom. After the call, my parents, some relatives, and Pam herself sent me many text messages. Everyone is asking me to say sorry to them because they think my words were unnecessary and unkind. They say I shouldn't hurt others when they are already having a hard time. The problem is that I can still remember everything that happened before my wedding very well, and I hold a lot of anger towards Pam for what she did. I struggle to feel guilty about my words. To give you an idea, when I was planning my wedding, Pam had already been married for 2 years. Before they got married, she and her former husband dated for 3 years, and she always knew he didn't want to have children. When they started discussing what would come next in their relationship after dating for a year, it was one of the first things she mentioned to our parents, even though I was present in the room. They kept talking as if I wasn't there. Another issue is that Pam and I have never gotten along, not even when we were children. She has always been our parents' favorite daughter. When we were kids, we used to argue a lot, but in the end, we just started to ignore each other. So, she was sure she wanted to have children in the future, even though she was telling our parents that her ex-boyfriend didn't want to have kids. Finally, they decided to talk about it again after getting married. She wished that by that time he would have a different opinion. She tried to convince him to have kids, but he didn't want to change his mind, so they began arguing frequently. She often seemed very upset at family events and would talk about how difficult it was to be with him all the time. In my opinion, it was her fault for choosing to marry a man who had clearly stated he did not want children. She believed she could make him change his mind. But she couldn't blame him when she couldn't do it herself. I didn't tell anyone because I knew it would only make things worse. I tried to convince him for a few months until my parents told me that Pam had come back to live with them forever after arguing with her husband. They informed me that there was no solution available at this moment. My partner and I had just started putting money aside for our wedding at this time. After being together for nearly 4 years, we got engaged a couple of months ago. We waited until we both felt secure in our jobs before getting married, even though we had been ready for a while. So my parents said they wanted me to postpone my wedding indefinitely when they informed me that Pam and her husband were getting a divorce. They didn't want me to marry Pam while she was getting a divorce to avoid hurting her feelings. They mentioned that Pam was already facing challenges because she had to delay her plans to have a baby. They advised me not to go ahead with my wedding to avoid hurting her, as she really wanted to have a baby. It was probably the silliest and most thoughtless request they had ever asked me to do. I told them that I had to get married and that I would not postpone my wedding for Pam. I was going to marry her, whether she wanted to or not. Because we were not very close, I didn't mind what she thought about my wedding. But my parents were not happy with the decision I made. They were mad because I wasn't ready to prioritize their daughter's feelings over my own wedding plans. They told me they wouldn't attend the wedding if I didn't delay it. I knew my parents really liked Pam, but I never thought they would do so much for her. This made me very sad and upset. However, I agreed and told them they could do whatever they wanted. Pam was not happy, even though everything should have been over. She didn't approve of my wedding, so she ensured that the rest of the family didn't attend either. At first, she just tried to convince people by saying it was impolite of me to get married while she was going through a tough time. Even though most people showed they felt sorry for her, they did not directly say they wouldn't come to my wedding. She decided to do better after she realized this. She started telling lies about me because the truth wasn't interesting to her. Pam said I was convincing her husband to leave her because I was jealous of her and didn't want her to have a baby before me. I had never been friends with her partner, so the accusations were silly. If he and I had become good friends, I really don't think Pam would have married him. People started to trust her, but no one knows why. She said I was bothering her by making her husband believe he would be happier without her and influencing him to leave her. Pam says I influenced him not to want kids, believing it was the right choice for our generation. Everything was a lie. I think she lied so convincingly that others began to believe her. Even though I didn't really interact much with my brother-in-law when he was married to Pam, many people declined my wedding invitations. Some of my caring cousins and other family members informed me about Pam's comments, so I was already aware of the reason. I wasn't surprised that no one gave me a clear reason for saying no. Only a small number of family members from both sides attended my wedding. Everyone else was either a friend or a colleague. At the bride's side, very few people showed up. Before the wedding, I remember feeling very angry about everything. Many people had already decided what they thought, and some had even stopped listening to me, but I believed I could still talk to them openly and honestly. I didn't want to, because it would have been my story against hers. Luckily, my partner, friends, and family were there to help me on my wedding day. I didn't realize many of my family members were missing because they made sure I had a great time. I still haven't forgiven Pam for what she did because I enjoyed my wedding day. She was very angry and mean in her actions. She made sure I wasn't happy just because she didn't get what she wanted, which was very common for her. She had been similar to Wei since she was a child, but most people stop those habits, especially by the time they are in their late 20s. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same about her. After that event, I completely stopped talking to her and my parents, and my anger towards them grew even stronger. I saw Pam's former husband for the first time in about a year since they got divorced. One day, my husband and I saw him having lunch with some of his colleagues. We were surprised when he came to say hello to us, which made things a bit awkward. He came up to our table, wished us well on our wedding, and said he was sorry for not being able to attend. He explained that it was due to my sister's situation. We were polite because he was talking casually, and my husband even joked that he could have come instead of Pam since she didn't show up. Pam's former husband looked very confused. At that moment, we started talking about what happened before the wedding. He explained that Pam had delayed the mediation meetings and the divorce by saying she was too busy preparing for my wedding. When her former husband found out she hadn't even attended, he was confused. He was surprised by her sudden curiosity about my wedding. However, he chose not to ask her about it because he didn't want to suggest that she was delaying the divorce because she was scared. He handled everything calmly. We talked about what happened after he told us what he experienced. He mentioned that Pam didn't go to the wedding, said untrue things about me, and accused me of trying to break up her marriage. After being surprised by Pam's behavior, he explained the real reason why they broke up. It was a much bigger problem than just disagreeing about having children. After many discussions about having kids, her former husband started to listen to her perspective and was close to changing his opinion. She said something important that changed everything on the day he decided to discuss it with her. She looked very happy when he told her he was finally ready to consider becoming a parent. Then, jokingly, she mentioned that he would have had to agree to it sooner or later, even if he wasn't ready. She admitted that she had secretly stopped taking her birth control pills without telling him when he asked her to clarify. She could have become pregnant if they had continued like that, planning for him to handle the situation. He couldn't agree to this twisted plan. She made us think that their arguments were only about having kids. But actually, their last fight was about her betrayal. Pam tried to make things seem less serious, but her actions were still important. Basically, she was trying to deceive him into getting her pregnant so that he would have to accept the pregnancy no matter what. My husband and I understood better why she had acted strangely around our wedding after talking with her ex-husband. She knew she was responsible for her divorce. She could have kept it a secret and avoided all this trouble, even if she had decided to stop using her birth control, which was a risky choice. She might have had a baby with her partner, but she messed things up for herself before taking it out on me. I felt angrier towards her after finding out all of this. I could have told my parents and other family members the truth, but I chose not to. By that time, I had already cut ties with those who didn't attend my wedding, and honestly, I just wanted to move forward with my life. I chose to stay quiet and keep going. Honestly, I don't regret what I said because I really dislike her. I believe it's a good thing that she hasn't had kids because I don't think she would be a good mother with her personality. It bothers me that she and my parents only reached out to me because I am pregnant and they want to act like a happy family with my baby on the way. That just won't happen. I agree with my in-laws and my spouse that it is not necessary for my child to have two mothers. The only reason I have any doubts is because of how people, especially those I get along with, reacted to my comment. Am I wrong for saying that my sister might not be good at being a mom, which is why she hasn't been able to get pregnant? When asked, Pam has not gotten married again, and as far as I know is not dating anyone at the moment. Even though I don't know many details about her personal life, I have heard from people close to her that she is single and her main focus right now is to start a family. You can try to figure out why she doesn't want to adopt a child or use a surrogate. I think she believes that a child doesn't feel like your own unless you have given birth to them. She has been attempting for more than 3 years. This includes when she tried to get pregnant with her partner and when she used donors for IVF after the divorce. Until now, nothing has been successful for her. Many people might consider different options at this point, but she is not interested, and that's her choice. It seems strange that my parents and she only tried to make amends after I told them I was pregnant. The comment about two mothers stayed in my mind. Also, you notice that they specifically mentioned that this baby would be related to her by blood. In simple terms, my child is related to her by blood because she is my biological sister. However, mentioning it while trying to make things right is strange, and their behavior just seemed creepy, almost like someone who would steal a baby. I'm worried that if I forgive her and let her see my child, she might start behaving like my mother. I cannot let that happen. Some of you have asked why I haven't explained myself to the rest of the family or talked about the real reason for her divorce. To be honest, I don't think it's worth it. I realized who my real friends and supporters were after the wedding. Everything that happened hurt me a lot, and even though I wanted to tell the truth, I chose not to. I wanted to be by myself. Some of my relatives, who I have a good relationship with, mentioned that I was a bit insensitive when I informed Pam that she couldn't have kids. Even though they don't require me to say sorry, they think the reaction was a bit too harsh. These people have always supported me. That's why I'm concerned. If they also believe I was too strict, then perhaps I should be concerned. Update number 1. I am grateful for all the comments on my post. I am grateful for your support, even though it seems like most of you think I am not the one at fault. I will keep ignoring Pam and my parents, and I have decided not to say sorry to them. They are clearly not happy about this. On social media and in person, they are portraying themselves as the victim and speaking badly about me in front of our family members again. I don't speak to those people anymore, so it doesn't bother me. What could go bad? That they will make me feel even more alone. I decided to talk to my family members who are on my side but don't agree with what I said and discuss it with them. Almost everyone in the family knows about what happened and what I said, and Pam and my parents have made a big deal out of it. I contacted people who really care about me because I prefer to avoid interacting with those I don't get along with. I told them that I had said those things in the heat of the moment. But Pam's intentional effort to make herself the center of attention at my wedding was even more unacceptable. Pam has been unkind and rude to me for a long time, and I won't apologize for something that might be true. My comment won't affect her much, not like when she spread rumors about me. My family decided not to attend my wedding because of her words. It's different because my opinion won't prevent her from getting pregnant. The people who supported me before are still there for me, and my family seems to get it. I'm fine with them choosing not to discuss it further. All I want is to have a happy and healthy pregnancy. I hope the conflict between Pam and my parents gets resolved soon. I don't want this to drag on because I may need to say some things they won't be happy to hear. This is something I really don't want to handle, especially now that I'm pregnant. Update number 2. For the last 2 weeks, my parents have been acting like victims and telling the whole family about what I said during our last phone call. They have been asking others to stay away from me, to stop talking to me, and even to stop connecting with family members who get along with me. They basically want everyone in the family to ignore me. My parents' plan didn't work, but I managed to resolve things with the people I love. They clearly didn't enjoy it, so they wrote negative comments about me on social networks. I know that the posts are about me even if I am not mentioned directly. They have been talking about a family member who has always tried to cause harm and has always been envious of Pam. They say I supposedly mocked her for not being able to have children. I knew everything was false, so I didn't care at first. It really upset me when they recently said that I was the reason Pam's marriage ended. I decided to respond because they were saying the same lies they had told me before my wedding. I got in touch with my ex-husband's brother. Although we don't talk often, we still say hello to each other on special occasions like holidays and birthdays. I shared all the details with him and asked if it would be okay to tell the truth in front of others. I followed his instructions. The situation has gotten more intense since I wrote about what Pam did and the real reason for their divorce. Even though I haven't talked to anyone in person, my family has been reaching out through calls, texts, and emails to ask if the information is accurate, request me to delete the post, and even accuse me of lying about Pam again. I haven't replied to any of them. My parents and Pam have been very quiet, which shows they don't have much to say in their defense. They will definitely find words. Even after everything that has happened, it's sad that no one in the family has said sorry to me. But it's fine because I expected this to happen. I think I have succeeded in revealing Pam's true self, which was my main goal. I will just chill and see what happens next. Update number 3. Pam and my parents got in touch with me a few days after my last message, saying they were ready to say sorry, but only if I agreed to delete my post. The rest of my family hasn't told me they are sorry, but it looks like they have talked to my parents and Pam to complain about what they did. They told my parents that it was not right to show me in a bad light when Pam was actually the one responsible for her divorce. My relationship with my parents has been greatly damaged because they have been lying to the family for years. It's surprising how quickly some family members who didn't like me turned against Pam. As I mentioned before, I don't think highly of those who thought I was to blame for Pam's marriage problems. Now they are just as eager to believe that she was responsible from the start. They still won't apologize, and most of them have stopped contacting me. No one is asking me to delete the post, and no one cares if I was telling the truth. I told Pam and my parents that I would delete the post when I wanted to. I no longer care about their apologies. I replied to their email and then blocked them. They haven't tried to contact me since then. This morning I decided to delete the post. I did it not for them, but because I don't want my social media filled with posts about people who are not important. Getting back at someone is not helpful, and as I said before, I want a nice and healthy pregnancy experience. Also, I think that is enough punishment for Pam and my parents, because of who they are. I have loved ones who really care about me, and my partner and I are happy. I only need that. It doesn't matter what my sister and parents are doing now. I hope they realize that I don't want to talk to them anymore, and stay away from me after everything that has happened. That's everything I wanted to express. With everything that has happened, I don't think they will contact us anytime soon. I appreciate everyone who has supported me, replied to my messages, and provided me with advice. It means a lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't signed up yet, please do so and click the bell icon to receive updates on more surprising true stories happening nearby.